And we're super excited today to take you through our Wildest Dream roadmap, which is our goal setting document that Jack and I love to use in our one-to-one coaching that we do. And we've used it on our retreats in Thailand before. And we love this as a way that we look at goals. And we thought it'd be super helpful just to take you through what exactly the roadmap looks like and how we like to approach it. And also just to share a couple of our goals. So Jack is going to, in a moment, take us through his roadmap. We're going to explore the roadmap by looking at Jack's goals and as and when you guys have any questions. And the roadmap is also available. I know some of you have already downloaded it, but if you haven't downloaded it yet and you're keen to do it, you can see it on our link tree. So if you go to our bio on the link tree, and if you click on that link, there'll be an option to download the roadmap PDF. So you can jump on there, download it, and perhaps have it with you as we explore it today. You might have some ideas for goals for yourself as we're looking at it, or something to take away from today, hopefully inspired and empowered to set your goals for 2026. Jack, anything you want to add before we dive in?
No, that sounds great. And the roadmap works really well printed off. It works really, really well on an iPad as well. So you can draw and scribble all over it. I've actually got a giant version printed out here. So I'll take you guys through that in a second. Yeah. So Pat, shall I do a quick sort of overview of the roadmap itself?
Yes, please. Yeah, maybe if you want to take the guys through as you said, the three chapters that we have.
Yeah.
And then just share what we're going to be focusing on today.
Yeah. So what we have is the roadmap is a large poster. And what you'll start to see is, and this is the language we're always using at Wildest Dream, we've got chapter 1, which is know thyself. You can't do anything until you know exactly who it is you are. And we have three sub chapters within that. We've got your values. What do you really stand for as a person? We have your strengths. So these are the things that you're amazing at, where you're being congratulated as being, particularly good at a particular skill, whether that shows up in work or outside of work. And then we've also got passions. Passions is, they start as curiosities and over time they develop into passions. Chapter 2, we're going to focus on that today. And this is know thy path for us. So within know thy path, you've got your broader vision, you've got your goals and tactical actions. And of course, we're going to go into a lot more detail there. And then chapter 3 is know thy steps. And that's all about habits and energy and mindset. So Pat, I think we're ready to jump into it.
Okay, cool. So you showed us there, Jack, the know thy path section, and we have those 4 big squares. Do you want to share what those 4 big squares are?
Yeah, so we've got 4 squares on the page here, and we always like to say at Wildest Dream, if we said to you, what's your most important role? Rarely you're going to throw out your job title. You're probably not going to say the marketing manager or the key account manager. You're probably going to say father, husband, brother, friend, partner. It's a word that captures more of your life. It's not going to be just one thing. And that's why when we talk about, setting goals and visions and ultimately a Wildest Dream, we're really keen to include as many areas of our life as possible. And we call those different areas our fulfillment areas. So these are the parts of your life that if you took them away, you wouldn't really feel whole. The words that you could use might be career is probably going to be one of them. It might be wealth, family, friends, relationships, community, adventure, fitness, health, eating. You can choose how you cut your life up and how you decide to divide it. So what I've done for mine, I've got mine split into 4 areas. You might have more, you might have less. But my area number 1, it's Wildest Dream. It's the name of our business. So this is my really focus on the business growth. That's what that area is to me. Number 2, family and friends, got that together and got some really nice ideas about what I want to do in 2026 there. Number 4, so I'll skip number 3 for a second. Number 4 is health. So for me, I put into there everything around, eating, exercise, you know, things around my kind of reflective nature and journaling, lots of that sort of stuff goes in there. But then what I'm going to share with you today, Pat, is actually my fulfillment area number 3, which I've called it inspiration. That's what I've called my fulfillment area, inspiration.
Okay. Thanks, Jack, for sharing those. So on that inspiration fulfillment area, so if we dive into that,
yeah.
Before we go into the detail, do you want to share what the flow is? We've got the fulfillment area, and then we like to break it down, don't we? As we can see in the document. So if you could just share so we have the 2026 vision. Oh yeah, there you go. Goals and then tactical actions. Can you just give a bit of a definition for what these 3 are?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got the fulfillment area at the top. That's, you know, what we've just described. Underneath that, we have our vision. This is something that's going to inspire you about the future. You know, humans are very, very visual creatures. We didn't walk our way out of Africa. You know, Homo sapiens were born in Africa and we spread around the world. And we did that because we were inspired by a vision, by something different, that there's something greater out there. So that's our vision. And I think a really good example of that I'll share with my inspiration bit. And then underneath we have our goals. So a goal for me is something it's more measurable than a vision. It can be achieved. It might have a number to it. It probably has a time element to it as well. And often a goal says, I want to do X by then. You know, I want to be promoted by the end of the year. I want to have run a 10K by the next 6 months. That's what a goal sounds like to me. Then at the bottom, Pat, we've got our tactical actions, and these are arguably the most important bits. This is, what are you going to do about it on Monday morning? You know, we're very good at setting goals or New Year's resolutions around, I want to run a 10K, I want to get promoted, but what are you actually going to do about it on Monday morning? That is the really, really difficult bit. So yeah, I'm looking forward to you challenging me a lot actually around the tactical actions for that.
Yeah. Nice. I love a tactical action.
Yeah.
And it's I think it's the one bit that's probably most often overlooked around goal setting. I think often, at least what we see is that we might, for example, for 2026 already have some ideas about goals we want to achieve. And maybe the guys here today have written them down and be like, awesome, this is what I want to achieve this year. But without the tactical actions, it's very challenging to achieve the goal if we don't know what we're doing each day and each week to move towards that goal. And once we've got those tactical actions in place, and we like to be super specific around these, once we've got them in place, then we know if we're on the path to achieving our goal. Because otherwise we can leave it up to chance, uncertainty, wait until we feel good to do anything, to move forward. But with these tactical actions, these are the things that are in our control. So we're like, okay, this week I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in order to move closer to my goal.
Yeah, yeah.
So Jack, your vision for your inspiration fulfillment area, hit us.
Yeah.
What is it?
Yeah, so firstly, it's actually what I shared with you on our podcast when we were filming it yesterday. It's my vision within inspiration is to be a best-selling author. And I've put a time to that. I said in 2028. You know, I think that's a bit punchy, but you know, that's what I've put for now, best-selling author by 2028. I feel like it, you know, it really inspires me. It's, as you know, something that I'm working on at the moment is writing my book. So yeah, that's what I've got down, Pat.
How does it feel when you share that vision aloud?
Well, it certainly makes me feel more accountability by us being on the call together and with some of our friends dialing in as well. It sort of feels, you know, it's going to be harder to back out of the actions behind it. You know, whether I achieve it or not, that's, you know, that's a different thing. Like, we're going to get onto that in the goals and the tactical actions. But yeah, I think it's a really cool vision. And, you know, a vision is a good vision when the person you share it with, they neither sort of make that face or, you know, that's one, or they just say to you, that just sounds really easy. You know what, sometimes you say, I've got this great vision. They're like, yeah, you can do that. you know, you don't want either of those reactions. You want that, like, yeah, that sounds bloody hard, but with a bit of hard work,
Yeah.
I think you can get there. And that's what a vision is, right? There's a difference between a vision and a goal is
Mm.
you can't achieve your vision tomorrow. A vision is implied that there's a whole load of skills and knowledge and learning and growth and relationships and community that you need to build in order to get there. You know, a vision cannot be achieved next week. It's not a vision, Pat.
Yeah. Yeah, and what I like to think around vision as well, when I set it for myself and also in the one-to-one coaching we do, is you want it to scare you a little bit.
Yeah, yeah.
So, for example, yours, Jack, when you say best-selling author, like I imagine that's like, ooh, that's like a little bit scary, and I think that's a very good sign because that little bit of discomfort is a really good. What's Jack showing us here? Okay, yeah, the fulfillment area. There we go. Yeah, that discomfort, bit of fear, I think is a good signal that the goal we're setting is challenging enough. We don't want it to be impossible. Like I had a dream for many years of playing for Arsenal. I've since given up that dream and that vision.
Yeah.
It'd be foolish to continue having that as a vision. I'm now 30 years old, and it's just not going to happen, sadly, not in this life. No. So it can't be impossible, but we want it to be challenging. We don't want it to be easy. So it's finding that sweet spot, and a good indicator for that, I think, is something that is a little bit scary. But as you said there, Jack, you're like, okay, this is a bit scary, but I reckon I could. If I do the work, I reckon I could.
Yeah, and that's the really important bit that I can't wait to get onto. It's if you can do the work. Like in a vacuum, so much stuff is possible. Yeah. But we're talking about here, right? One fulfillment area. We've also got our career, our family and friends, our health. Like when you start to take all of that in, can I be an author plus a triathlete plus having the world's biggest business plus having the most amazing social life? Like, I mean, no.
It's going to be difficult.
It's very, very difficult.
Something's going to have to give. Okay, so we've got the vision, best-selling author. What are your 2026 goals?
Yeah, so I've got four things down here, and they're actually sort of split into two. So the first two goals is to have written a book proposal. So that's writing the first 3 chapters of the book plus a proposal. It's what you do for nonfiction books, and you then take that to an agent. They like it, they can then help you find a publisher. Easy, right? So that's kind of one goal for the year. I'd like to finish that by the end of the year. I think it will take a full 12 months. Then the second element underneath that, it's the real study and learning on the topic that I'm really interested in. So if maybe you've seen some of our content, but I love to learn about people like Leonardo da Vinci and Steve Jobs, these people that are, incredibly inspiring, but when you actually peel back their life and what they'd achieved by the time they were, 30, 35, many people on this call are going to be about that age, but it's, actually not a whole lot. You think Steve Jobs was fired from Apple and was out in the wind, and Leonardo da Vinci, I can see his book over there. He was, an absolute failure, really. He was very talented, and everyone knew he was talented, but he hadn't really finished many paintings. And so I'm really interested in studying that period of people's lives. If you rip out everything in the autobiography after they were 35, you're actually just left with what was the talents they had, the mindset. It wasn't so much about achievement. So I'm really looking forward to not just studying that, but, bringing it into some kind of, I don't know what the right word is, Pat, maybe you can help me, but like a textbook or like a big series of notes that I can work with. So they're the two goals around output. And what do you think when I share that with you?
So what I hear there, Jack, it sounds like there's the writing element, as in getting the proposal, first few chapters ready.
Yeah.
And is it publisher, editor?
Agent.
Publisher. Agent. Okay.
Yeah.
I presume you're going for like Penguin and one of the big ones, right?
Pat, penguin, tiger, hummingbird, whoever will take
Yeah,
you.
just the big names. Anyone else, Jack's not interested. So there's the writing element from the sounds of it, and then also that inspiration. Like where is that coming from? So I sort of see those two. Is that how you've designed it?
Yeah, it's the writing, and then it's the knowledge. It's the knowledge
Mm,
underneath it. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
And in the goals there, so you said by the end of the year, right? Have that in place in terms of
The
the first
proposal.
proposal.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So that's time
And
bound.
then the other one, it's more, I want to discuss that with you guys as well. It's about thinking what's the right cadence for this, because the other one's not an end of the year thing. Is it a sort of once a month or once every 2 weeks? Like I've published a long form video on YouTube or a longer form blog about a different, person who's inspired me. That's going to have a more regular cadence to it, that one.
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe when we get into the tactical actions, we can start to explore that a bit more. So, do you want
Yeah.
to share then? We've had the vision, the goals. Do you want to share what the tactical actions are? So,
Yeah.
what are you actually doing each day and each week?
What am I actually doing each week? So, first one is I'm blocking in my calendar 3 hours per week to start with. It might ramp up in the future, but at the moment, 3 hours per week to just write, and not writing like blogs or anything else, but like book writing time. So it's finding that time to block it in the calendar. The second one is to constantly try and upgrade my writing abilities and writing skills. So started doing that with masterclass and just doing about 20 minutes a day of just watching different authors or comedians or screenwriters, just learning more and more about the writing process, which is really cool. And then I need to, again, like I say, find a tactical action around how am I going to take those notes and how am I going to capture that material around that subject of the leaders under 35 years old. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So, the first one that you mentioned was the 3 hours writing a week. And you
Yes.
mentioned there finding the time, putting in your calendar. How do you like to approach that?
Yeah. So I'm a big planner. So I like to plan my week on a Sunday and go through and see what are the big like meetings we have or what the key deliverables, and then finding, okay, when in that week am I going to find the time to write. So it's not, I'm not as rigid as saying it has to be Monday at 9 a.m. every week, but I do have that sort of quite consistent routine of like every Sunday planning the next week that's coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And
Yeah.
then on the last one, the one around inspiration.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you sort of want to explore what a specific kind of tangible tactical action could be around this.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. 'Cause it's one of those things where it's like you don't have to do it. And when you don't have to do something, it's very easy for it to fall off the radar, especially when it's like a nice sort of around the edges, adding a bit of magic to what you're doing type of situation. We have to create proposals or we have to deliver work for a client, but I don't have to study and learn about these people. I
Yeah.
want to do it. So that's why I'm really keen for us to talk about it.
Okay. So when you have taken the time to study and read about these people, what have you found to work for you recently in the past?
I found when it's part of, I call it my like morning habit stack for want of a better word. But when I'm, at home in Bangkok, no, I'm not, we're not traveling in Dubai or Borneo or Czech Republic or wherever else we are. I find that perfect morning can happen for like 3 weeks in a row. And it feels so good. Like waking up, doing the meditation, journal, practicing some Italian, and then, getting into, when it works really well, an hour of studying, then an hour of writing. Like I really, really enjoy that flow. And then getting into the work. Yeah, I think that's the perfect solution.
Okay. So if that's the perfect solution, I take an hour in the morning. If that's perfect, what is achievable each week as a target, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's the sort of 20, 30 minutes of reading and taking some notes. That seems to be very doable. Um,
Mm.
even at the moment when we've just come back from India and a bit jet lagged, getting up sort of 1 hour later than would normally, just sort of squished everything down. But it's still been really nice to get a bit of
Mm.
learning in, and um, yeah, yeah,
Okay. So it sounds like 20 to 30 minutes you feel is a good amount of time to make progress around this, but not too much that it's something that you can't consistently stick to. Is that right?
yeah. I think so, and I think when it works really well is what I think we're doing a better and better job of. Right, it's like these things don't exist in isolation. It's like, okay, cool. We've learned something about like Arsene Wenger, for example. How can we then bring that into a piece of work we're doing, or bring that into the podcast that we're doing? Everything
Mm.
always connects together. So then the learning that you're doing, it starts to form a bigger and bigger purpose.
Mm. Yeah. And I also think in the learning in the morning, because it's something that I love to do as well. I
Yeah.
do it each morning, have my own rituals around it. And I find that it really, really energizes me for the day as well. Like just that acquisition of some new knowledge, a quote or a new idea, or coming across a cool study. And that maybe sound a bit nerdy, but that excites me. It gets me
Yeah.
energized.
But
And
you're
I know
you're
a
a
lot of,
massive learner though. Like, would you like
uh,
share? I'd love to hear what your sort of latest ritual around learning is, because mate, I'm not a
mm,
learner. Like, I like to read, but you take it to another level. Like, tell me what you're up to at the moment.
yeah. Well, as a guy, I quite like sort of structure
Mm,
around these things. I know some creative people prefer to be free flowing and just sort of whatever inspiration strikes, pick up a book here, pick up a book there, kind of dive into a bit of a rabbit hole on Wikipedia. But I quite like having a structure around mine. So what that looks like is each morning I will be sort of reading or listen to a podcast or listen to an audiobook
mm,
for a bit of time in the morning. And I'll plan what I want to get through that week. So I have some targets. So maybe I've got 3 really cool podcasts I want to get through. I'll be like, okay, this is what I'd like to go through this week and
yeah,
start kind of working through those. But what I love doing is not just reading or listening and thinking, oh, that's cool, and then never remembering it ever again, like I used to. What I love to do is that in my phone notes, I will write down if I hear a cool quote or a study that I think sounds super interesting. I'll just have a phone note for each podcast or book I'm listening or reading. And then I've actually started to get into the dictation recently. So I think
yeah,
I probably look a
yeah,
bit mad, but I walk around London kind of talking into my phone. It's actually, if anyone hasn't tried it yet, it's super helpful. I used to type it out, but I only did it because it was really cold outside and I didn't want to type because I didn't want to get my fingers cold. So I just tried the dictation. It actually works really well. So I'm now dictating my notes into my phone. And then once I finish that podcast or that book, I'll then go back to my note and I'll
mm,
go through and filter. And some of the stuff that I thought was interesting at the time, I'd be like, oh, know that, or like, oh, that's actually not that interesting. But then
yeah,
some stuff I'm like, okay, that's really cool. This is worth keeping to share on a podcast we're doing, or bringing to some work that we're doing, or just share with some of our clients. So I then take those notes and put them into. I've actually got them here, old school revision cards, and
yeah,
I'll write something on the front, and then write something on the back, and I then take these revision notes. I'll take a couple in my pocket each day, and basically test myself. I've actually got some. Let me just give you an example. What have we got here? Okay, on the front we've got George Leonard on consumerist society. So I'm testing myself if I remember the quote. I haven't learned it yet, so I'm going to read it. It is seduced by the siren song of a consumerist quick fix society. We choose a course of action which only brings the illusion of accomplishment, the shadow of satisfaction. So that's from a book, Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. I thought it was a really cool quote. So I'll be taking that around me, and by this time next week, it should be solidified in here, and I'll be sharing it with everyone. So that's how my learning looks.
No, that's very cool, Pat. I love that. And babe, I would love to also get into what you've got down for your different fulfillment areas, and then sharing a bit around the detail of yours as well.
Yeah.
And for whilst you're doing that, for anyone that is just joined, we're looking at our Wildest Dream roadmap, which is broken down into 3 different chapters. You can download it on our link tree, which is in our bio on Instagram. Chapter 1, Know Thyself. Chapter 2, Know Thy Path. It's all about goal setting, which is what we're doing today. And next week, we're going to do a session on Know Thy Steps, which is the 3rd chapter. And this is what the roadmap looks like. It's a sort of poster style document. And today we're focusing on chapter 2, Know Thy Path, where you've got your vision, goals, tactical actions. I just shared with Pat my plan to be a best-selling author by 2028, and shared some goals and tactical actions around that. So, Pat.
Nice.
Yeah. Was
cool.
there anything you wanted to, are you dissatisfied with anything I've shared, or like, do you want to uncover anything else, or are you happy to dive into yours?
I think it looks good. I like the specificity of your tactical actions. It sounds like you've got like a time that you want to do each for. So it's not just like it's write for 3 hours 3 hours a week from, I believe. And same with your inspiration, finding, okay, what is that amount of time? How frequent am I doing it? Because I think if we're vague in the tactical actions, they never really get done. If we just say like, oh, I'm going to read more. What is more? And if you just look to read more, you wake on Monday and be like, oh, I'm busy today, I'll read more tomorrow. Whereas if you say, I'm going to read for even just 5 minutes a day, bang, you know exactly what you're doing before you get up, and you're more likely to do it. So I think specificity around tactical actions is really key. The visions are a bit more lofty. Your vision was super clear there, Jack, actually, which is nice. Like best-selling author. Some visions are a bit more sort of lofty, aspirational, perhaps a little bit less specific. But when we get to those goals and tactical actions, I think being really clear and specific around those is super helpful. So, yeah, thanks, Dr. Jab, for taking us through that. I think it's a really nice example of that fulfillment area of how it looks. And yeah, mine, I've just got it in front of me here. So my 4 fulfillment areas are Wildest Dream, same as you, Jack.
Yeah.
I've got Adventure.
Nice.
I've got Athlete. And then I've got God, actually, as my 4th one.
Is this to end up as God or something else?
No, it's not part of the plan. I don't think that's what he's planned for me. But maybe that's one to dive into another day. But I'm becoming more spiritual and religious as I get into my 30s.
Yeah, I love that. What are you going to take us through today? Which of the 4?
Maybe I'll look at Athletes, actually.
Yeah? Yeah, go for it.
I mean, I'm excited by all of them, which is a good sign, I guess. But actually, well, I might just do a bit of sprinkle around them. So, for example, like Adventure, what's my 2026 vision? Explore new parts of the world with the people that I love. That's the vision. And then, like within the goals, there's a few particular trips that I'd like to do with people. And for example, I've got here Coastal Trail Marathon in Weymouth, in glamorous Weymouth, which is actually coming up in a few weeks. And nice. I mean, that is a marathon. It's an athletic endeavor, but for me, that's an adventure because it's something a bit new. It's a trail marathon, and I'm constantly need to explore. So that's why I've got under adventure. But there's going to be some overlap between some of these fulfillment areas. I've also got under adventure 1 High Rocks with Jack. And again, this is athletic, but it's also adventure because I'm still being a cool part of the world. And I'm into triathlons. Jack's been getting me into High Rocks, and it's adventurous. Like it excites me. I like it. So a few things there around adventure, and then Athlete. So 2026 vision.
But before you jump into that, Pat, could I ask what led you to choose Athlete and Adventure and God and Wildest Dream? Like, because they're 3 of them are different words to mine entirely. Like, what led you to Athlete as opposed to health? and what led you to adventure as opposed to like family, for example?
Very good question. Because I was thinking relationships, like would relationships be one of my fulfillment areas? But what I actually arrived at is that for me, like you'll see relationships in the detail in each of them. So
yeah,
the adventure vision, it's exploring new parts of the world with people that I love. That's relationships. So there's relationships in there. There's relationships in the Wildest Dream and other areas too. So I felt like relationship wouldn't be a separate one for me. For many it is. And like there's no right or wrong here. It's what's meaningful for you. But for me, I felt like adventure was the right word because the word itself excites me. Like I love exploring, and I feel like I kind of nicely captured what that area of my life looks and feels like. And then, again, I was thinking like health would health be another one? Personally, I find I connect more with the word like athlete than health, because I feel like a lot of the health rituals now almost are automatic and kind of take care of himself. I've actually got some health rituals around under athlete, which might surprise me. So, for example, I have things around like sleep, some taglines around sleep in my athlete, because it makes me a better athlete, but also makes me a better person, and it's health related. So I felt like health was a little bit too narrow, but athlete kind of broadens it up. And it enabled me to bring in those like healthy rituals. And I was also thinking about the vision. And there's this vision for athlete that really excites me. And I don't, be honest with me here, Jack. I think this might be actually too ambitious potentially. But the 2026 vision is to be a sponsored athlete. It's quite punchy.
Punchy.
We're already 16 days down the year and no one's reached out to me yet. But maybe it's too punchy for this year, perhaps. But, and when I say sponsored, I don't mean like Nike, Adidas. I mean literally anyone in the world that would like to sponsor me.
But like, what would be your there's this guy was called Ogilvy. He was like a massive marketing ad guy, and I think the TV show Mad Men or something is like loosely based off him. And he was a Scottish guy, moved to New York to set up his ad agency, and one of the really cool things that he did was he wrote down the list of the 10 companies that he wanted to work for. He wanted to, be a partner of in the future, and they were like the big companies of the time. Like it's probably all the cigarette and oil companies, which might not be on your top 10 list at the moment.
I'll take anyone, mate.
But I think it's a really worthwhile exercise to do, right? Is to think what's your dream of the top 10, and maybe it isn't Nike and Under Armour, but like maybe it's these kind of different niche of brands or something. And how can athlete and the sponsorship connect to the other fulfillment areas? Is it something that comes through and with Wildest Dream as well? Like there's so many different avenues to explore. And like you say, maybe that's not happening in 12 months, but maybe it's something to aim for in the future.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I need to actually think about perhaps what like potentially achievable sponsors could be this year. And then maybe there's like a 10-year vision of who the sponsor will be. And I'll be plastered all over buses in London, and you'll see me plastered on the Nike Town and Oxford Circus. You'll see me everywhere.
Yeah.
But for the what you shared there actually, Jack, about how like the sponsor athlete links to other areas. Like for me, there's a big connection between that and Wildest Dream, because we are in the process of building the Wildest Dream brand, and being very active on social media, and we love sharing a lot here and other areas too. So building the brand for Wildest Dream is like really closely for me tied into this, because it's building our brand together as Wildest Dream. And when I close my eyes and think about sponsored athlete, what I see is me in my tri-suit, so what you race a triathlon in, with like Wildest Dream on the front, and then we've got some cool sponsors and logos down the side. So it's very much tied into like Wildest Dream sponsors and partners, and then also like high performance athlete sponsors, partners. It's all sort of one in my mind. And I like it as a vision because it also, because we have our targets as well around building the brand, doesn't it? And it gives me that extra like nudge, an extra fire in the belly.
That's cool, mate. And so that's the vision. And is that your vision for 26 or 27, 8? Like, remind me what you'd sort of set for that.
It's the sponsored athletes, the vision for 26.
Yeah, nice. Well, you let us know what we need to do to help you get there, Pat. Because I think, you know, accountability, like we shared earlier, me sharing on the call what my vision for inspiration is around becoming a best-selling author by 2028. Like, it's so impossible to do these things alone. You need to do it with people. And so let us know what we can do to help you. And like, I know that's a massive pillar of the reason why we're setting up at community events. And like, I can't wait for like the accountability that's going to come out of the different ice baths and the run clubs and all of that stuff. So that's going to be really cool when we start doing that. And Pat, what are the goals you've got underneath the vision?
So the goals under the vision is 4 hours, 18 minutes, half Ironman. And
I couldn't tell you if that's good or not, by the way. So you're going to have to tell me if that's.
I could, yeah.
It's really slow. I imagine it's really slow. But
it's embarrassingly slow. I'm embarrassed to even share it. I tell you, the reason why that is that time in particular is because a friend of mine last year, who's in his early 40s, did one in 4 hours and 19 minutes. And my previous PB was 4 hours and 25.
Okay.
And I don't like the idea of this 40-year-old man being quicker than me. So we've got 4:18, but actually this ties into something we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
If I neglected everything in my life and just trained, I think I could probably do a bit better than that. But, and I know we had this conversation the other day, seasons of life. Like, yes, I love training. Yes, I've got this grand vision of being a sponsored athlete. Yes, I want to achieve this time in a half Ironman. But this isn't the most important thing in my life. Building our business and probably family are the most, and friends, probably the most important. So, yes, I've got a grand vision and a challenging goal, but I've also set that goal bearing in mind all these other important areas of my life. And I think that is something that's really important to mention, because we can get super excited about one area of life and throw everything at it and neglect other areas of our life. And the season of life that we're in is building the business, and that is super important to me.
Yeah.
So yes, I'll keep training and stay healthy, but the focus is on building the business. And maybe I don't hit that half Ironman time, but I will do everything that I can while ensuring that I'm looking after all the other important areas of my life to try and achieve that.
Well, and it's the person you become on the way as well, right? You know, I think we all have different fulfillment areas of our life, and like some of them it's like I kind of have to and I really want to hit the like specific KPI within that fulfillment area, you know, these things around our business and stuff like that. Whereas, you know, maybe other ones such as in, you know, athlete or health for me around, you know, I want to run a 10K in a certain time. It's like me training for that and consistently putting in the hours, like that is like, that for me is a destination just as much, if not more, than getting the specific time.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm coming to the last few minutes, maybe just to sprinkle a few tactical actions. So I've got to complete 90 to 95% of training sessions a week. So 100% is, I think, unrealistic and can put unnecessary pressure and stress. 90 to 95%, look, sometimes pop up, we might have a proposal that needs to go out. Okay, missed one today, that's fine. But if I can hit 90 to 95% sessions a week, I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
I've then got, so mobility work, as Jack knows, I'm incredibly unflexible. And I need to become more flexible. So I've got 5 minutes mobility in the morning each day. A nice low bar. I feel that's achievable.
Yeah, nice.
And then Yeah, so no big meals 2 hours before bed. And the reason for this is because when I have a big meal within 2 hours before bed, as all the science shows and as I know in my own life, it really, I just don't sleep very well. And
Yeah.
that impacts obviously my training session the next day, but more importantly than any of that, it impacts how I perform in our role as a coach and in building a business, as a husband, as a friend. But that's one little tactical action in there, but that really encompasses everything in my life as well. So there's a little bit of detail. Comes the last few minutes, Jack. Anything else you want to share with the guys before we wrap up?
No, I think that's it. I think it's really cool. And I think, typically, where do we all start with this process of setting goals and something to do with 2026? We always start with this New Year's resolution, but it's very, bound within the year, and it's not that inspiring, and often it's resolution. The word comes from resolving. So often it's fixing problems. It's not a very sort of aspirational, forward-looking thing to do to have a New Year's resolution. It's much better to say, okay, what's the vision, the inspiring vision of where I want to go? Because then it expands our thinking. It allows us to see a future and a reality that doesn't yet exist. Whereas all we're doing with the resolution is just kind of fixing something that's broken, and it's not going to get you very far. You're just going to sort of start copying everyone else and floating around mediocrity. We want to stretch ourselves a bit further. So once you have that vision, then you can hang the goals within it. Those goals are the really specific, measurable, time-bound things, whether it's a 1-year goal, 18 months, or 6 months goal. And then most importantly, it's that tactical action. It's what are you doing about this on Monday morning? It's the not missing more than 5% of training sessions. It's the 1 3-hour writing slot a week. It's stuff that you could put in your calendar, and a tactical action is something that you have like 100% control over. And yeah, what a great way to finish the unlimited adventure. I believe that's Tom, 2026, the year of the fire horse.
Nice.
I don't know if that's a cryptic clue, but I like it. Pat, anything else?
I don't know if that's what Tom calls himself, the fire horse.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. No, thanks, Tom. So good that you joined us. Yeah, you wrapped that up so nicely, Jack. And when I do this, we're doing a lot in one-to-one coaching recently, and to think about the vision, it can actually be very difficult. Like it's hard to think, what do I want this area of my life to look like by the end of the year? Like that's not easy. But if you give it a bit of time, a bit of thought, things start to appear. So if you start to think, I don't know what the vision is, don't be put off by that. Because by just reflecting a little bit more in your journal or speaking aloud, whatever you find is useful, things will start to become clear. And then once you've got around that clarity of vision, then the goals and tactical actions will start to flow.
Yeah. Awesome, Pat.
Nice.
So what's coming up next week, next Friday, Pat? What are we doing?
Next Friday, we're diving into No Life Steps, aren't we? Yes.
Yeah.
I should have said that more convincingly. I was 95% certain we were. So we're diving into No Life Steps. And there we look at mindset, energy management, and weekly habit stack. So yeah, thanks guys for joining us today. And looking forward to seeing some of you next week.